Welcome to episode 44 of Living the Amazing Life podcast with yours truly, Tim Harrell, Coach Tim Harrell, your motivational leadership expert as well as your business accelerator. I'm so glad you joined us on the podcast today. I'm so always delighted to have my son Terrell on the podcast with us. And come on, give it up for Terrell. Give it up for Terrell. All right. And before we go into our podcast today, we just want you to share and subscribe to the podcast if you have not subscribed to the podcast. And I would love for you to hit me up on social media. I would love to connect with you. And I put a lot of good content on social media. So you may want to follow me on social media and get the free content and free information to help you in your personal growth and leadership and business. So Terrell, it's good to have you here today, man. It's good to have you here today.
Good to be here.
And we just want to have a conversation around this topic concerning a father-son relationship and how we approach, you're a father, of course, I'm a father because you're my son, right. But you're a father, you got two beautiful daughters, and the way you parent is totally different from how we raised you all. And so your philosophy of parenting is different from mine. Your approaches are different. And I'm just kind of curious, why is that? Why is your approach to parenting so different from from what you was raised up in?
I just think that when I was a kid, I was a very opinionated kid, and I think one of the reasons why I was opinionated, not because I felt like I was rude or disrespectful. Mm-hmm. I just like even now to this day, I just had my own way of thinking,
right?
And my thinking always challenged like the status quo,
right?
So like certain things that I would get in trouble for, I would question it,
right?
And like at that, I didn't think I was being like rude or disrespectful,
right?
But of course my parents did,
right?
Because like, all right, so like if you say like, hey, make sure you do this, I'm like, why I gotta do that? Like, right. and I'm not saying it like disrespectfully, but right. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm really inquisitive, like why I gotta do that? Like, right. Why I can't do this or why I can't do it this way? And like as I got older with kids, like of course, before I had kids, you know what I mean? Like children could be like kids. Kids could be like.
Well, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. You would you consider yourself you were a strong-willed child coming up?
Yes.
So how do you think that parents should handle strong-willed children? Because when I was growing up, you didn't have. You didn't have an opinion. You couldn't give any feedback. Right. So that's kind of like how we parented our children, because you weren't able to speak unless you were spoken to, right? And so how should parents handle strong-willed children?
My favorite word, understanding. Like the Bible said, in all you're getting, make sure you get understanding. And a lot of times, man, like strong-willed children. Mm-hmm. Are not disrespectful children,
right?
And we also have to understand that children don't have the developed brains, so they don't know all the social cues, mm-hmm. or they don't know how they coming off. They don't got the emotional intelligence. So, you should never shut down a child who's strong-willed, right. Very inquisitive, because as they get adults, when wrongdoings are going on in society, at the mm-hmm. workplace or at school,
right?
They won't say nothing. They won't step up because all their life they've been told challenging authority,
right,
is wrong. And
so and I always thought that. That's why I always challenged you, right, as a child, because you were very strong-willed, and
right.
And I took it as disrespect, but it wasn't disrespect,
right? And it's like then it is also a way to go about it,
right?
Like because like you could challenge authority respectfully, mm-hmm. then you could challenge authority disrespectfully,
right?
And that's why I say like we should have the grace with our children, because like their brains not fully developed. Mm-hmm. They don't have the emotional intelligence to know how they coming off or how it may seem. Where what made me realize this was I was watching an interview with Jay-Z, and they asked Jay-Z like how was fathering his first kid,
right?
Because he also grew up in the average black household,
right.
So he said one day him and his daughter was going to the car, and I guess he was getting impatient and frustrated. He like get in the car. He said so when he got in the car, his daughter was like, Dad, I really didn't like the way you spoke to me. Like it really hurt my feelings. And he said he just looked back at her and he just wanted to cry because it was like, man, like that's so beautiful. Like you're really voicing your opinion on how you feel when he never had that as a child,
right?
And then I remember this one time like with me and my daughter, my daughter, my youngest daughter, they was playing. They was like fighting. So I guess my youngest daughter, like she's real rough. Like she's real like about it.
Right.
So she I guess she got the best of Brooklyn and Brooklyn started crying. I'm like, Brooklyn, like you're older than her and bigger than her. Like why are you acting so soft?
Right.
Like why you always like I said why you always I said something like why you always acting so soft? And she said, Dad, why you always angry? And I was like, I had to really look at her like, yo, like she really like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, dang, like kids notice that.
Yeah.
And like I heard a woman say like if you want to know your parenting style, right, ask your kids to imitate you. And then like and you will see like how your kids really view you. Right. And I just think that, you know, with strong-willed children, man, like just have that understanding and know that, you know, don't shut their voice down. Make sure they be heard. Have that conversations with them and make sure that, you know, that because that's also a skill that you're building as well. Right. That conversational piece, like you know what I mean. Like, how do you feel about this? Right. Do you think I was wrong? You know, what's your thoughts on this? Or when I was growing up. Well, y'all really didn't do this, right? But I know my grandmother, rest in peace, she did this all the time. Like we couldn't leave the table until we finished we had to finish our food. And like I honestly, I mean, I may be overthinking, but I kind of equated that to like why a lot of kids are obese, right? Because we don't have to, because we feel like everything we have to eat all of it, right, before we leave. And
that's a good point.
Yeah, now that you know what I mean. Now as adults, we have a bit of food. We know that we're full, right? But we've been trained as a little kid. We cannot leave the table until we eat all our food. And I think that kind of like translates to adulthood to like overeating and emotional eating and stuff like that. But I think that for the most part, I tell people all the time, like, you know, I don't think I had a bad childhood at all. I don't think like my parents was abusive and like that. Even though like a lot of things got punished for, I didn't think we should got punished for. Right. But I just think that, you know, it just
yeah. I don't know, because, you know, going back to that, looking at just kind of reviewing my parenting style, your mom and our parenting style. Right. There was a lot of regrets there. Right. Things that I could have done better as a father. Right. With you.
So I mean, what are those things?
Well, I number one, I could have been more patient and listen and allow you to voice your opinion and your thoughts and not view it as always disrespect.
So do you think you patient now?
I still don't have no patience. I got more patience.
You showed that last night at Cinema Cafe.
How did I show that?
When you said that the guy was taking so long to take your order. He said, man, this always happens. They always want to take your order when the movie starts. But you was rushing the guy just to order a Dr. Pepper. Right. Well, you know, that's why I said, so what are you going to get? He said, oh, just a Dr. Pepper. I'm like, you can't wait for that.
And I'll be the first one to admit, son, that I have no patience. I mean, I have to work on it all the time. And even when I'm driving, you know, if I'm behind a car, I got to go around. And I just think that I don't know where it comes from. I'm trying to still work on the origin of why I'm so impatient. And
maybe be just control.
It's not so much control. I mean, to a certain degree, but being in control is not something that I have to be in all the time, because I don't like to be in control. Right. Sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. It all depends on the day, right? Right. But there, I mean, of course, there was, you know, going back to what we were saying about the parenting style, because I think that, you know, as John Maxwell says, you know, everything rises and falls on leadership. Right. And I think that as the leader of my home, I saw areas I could have been a lot better, more efficient in, more, more sensitive, more, like you were saying, more emotional attached, different things like that, in order for you guys to get all that you needed to get.
Right.
And the great thing about grandparenting, is that, what I didn't do for you guys, I get to do for the grandbabies. And it sounds like a cop out, and it sounds like, well, since I ain't do it for you, Terrell, I'm gonna do it for your daughters.
I mean, I
don't want to sound like that, but
no, I think I'm not gonna say it's a cop out. I think now, as a man, and as a man who's a father, I think I would need my father more now than then. And the reason why I say that, because I am navigating roads that I never had to navigate, and now this time I'm on my own.
Right.
So it's like, sometimes it's good to have that. Like, you can ask questions like, so what did you do when this happened, or when this went down? And I tell people all the time, just because your kids are grown, I mean, you stop being a parent.
Right.
Like,
I agree with that.
And I just think that I'm like, yeah, it's great that, I mean, what you do for the grandkids, but I mean, you still got kids.
I agree with you on that. And you and I are so different. We have different.
Right.
We think different. We have different approach. And of course, we're so different, but we're so similar. Right. In other ways and other areas.
Right.
But that's the part of I think a couple of a couple of podcasts ago we talked about relationship. What was it?
Meaningful relationships.
Meaningful relationships.
Right.
And I believe that, establishing a solid relationship is something that you work on all the time.
Right.
And none of us are perfect. We're gonna fall short.
Right.
But getting to the point where you realize your shortcomings. If you try to be in a relationship with somebody and you're in denial, it's going to be very hard to cultivate that relationship. And so, you are a gift to the earth. You are a gift to the earth. And when you begin to think that way, when you change your mindset and begin to think that I'm a gift to the earth, right? The people are blessed because of me. People are better off because of me. When you begin to think that way, it shifts your perspectives, your decisions, things that you go after. It shifts that. Because now you're not, and I'm not saying that you're thinking that you're better than everybody. No, you're thinking that, your thinking is, I'm a gift to the earth, so I have something to offer. And most of us, we don't pursue our dreams. We don't pursue our goals. We don't go after what we desire, is because we believe that we don't have anything to offer. I'm here to tell you, you have something to offer. And God He put it in you. You just got to find that, and it's all wrapped up in your original you. And once you find that and take an assessment of that, you'll know what you can offer. You'll know the gift that you have. You'll know your purpose and what you can do to make someone else's life better. Bruce Lee said, self-knowledge involves relationship. To know oneself is to study oneself in action with another person. Relationship is a process of self-evaluation or self-revelation. Relationship is the mirror in which you discover yourself. To be is to be related. And so
speak to the point of relationships. And and this is just a general statement I'm making,
right?
Because like a friend of mine, we talk about this all the time, because it's almost like it kind of go in the realm of like generational curses, but it's not really generational curse. But like children spend our whole we spend our whole childhood and adulthood fighting our parents' demons,
right?
And then my children will spend their whole childhood and adulthood fighting my demons because especially like in the Black community, we don't believe in like therapy and going to a psychologist and healing. Like we just believe in, you know what I mean? We just gonna just pray it away. And that, like, prayer is great. Right. But there are professionals that I believe that God ordained, psychologists that can, cause like you said, like
because we had one on the last podcast,
right? Cause like what we would say all the time, like the Holy Ghost can't remind you or pull things out that you're not conscious of, right? And like, you know, and like I think that because of, you know what I mean, your childhood traumas. And the things that you lacked growing up by you not having a father. So like when you finally had children, you was pretty much, you know what I'm saying, going off a blank manual. Right. And like,
well, I had a stepfather.
Well, you had a stepfather, but I'm saying like I'm pretty sure through your times of growing up, you had wounds that didn't heal.
I agree.
And like because it doesn't matter how much granddad Conley White was there. Right. He can't really fill the shoes of your biological father because it's just that connection. You know what I'm saying? It's just that connection. And
but I never had the connection.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had the connection with the biological father. Right,
but I'm saying, but I also believe that it's from his perspective as well. Right. Because it's like I think biological fathers and sons, it's just a different connection. Whether
I agree,
and whether it's from the child to the father to the child, and like I said, so I just think that, you know, those wounds, those unhealed wounds that you went to a grown hood man to, it got passed down to us, right, and then I see that how my unhealed wounds are getting passed down to my children, like just certain habits that I just see, like, man, like that's what I used to do, and like because I did that habit, it really affected me as a grown adult, right? And I think that a lot of things that people stray away from is shadow work, and basically that shadow work is basically you working on those dark areas, right? That people that you don't bring in the forefront, right? And people can't see and society can't see, but you know it's there. Those very dark characteristics. And sometimes, man, like one thing I had to do, man, just wake up in the morning, sit inside of bed, and really look at those things that you hate about yourself. Yeah. And do that shadow work to work on these things, because I saw how it was affecting my relationships. I saw how it was affecting me, how the type of women I was choosing in my life. Right. Because I chose women that was aligned with my trauma. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, and then when I got around women that didn't align with my trauma, I just don't feel that connection, because it's that we're not trauma bonded. Right. And it's like, man, so I even saw like with the people I just chose in my life, like trauma bondage is real. Yeah. And like, so it's like you attract who you are. You attract who you are, man. Because sometimes I know the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. Right. But sometimes you could be equally yoked and it's trauma bonded. Right. Right. y'all both jacked up. You know what I'm saying? And that's why psychology says that it really take 7 years to get to know somebody. Right. And then when you look at the divorce rate, usually after the 7th year, that's when the divorce falls off, because like so many people we could play poker face and hide our traumas, hide our wounds, and like, you know, after a while you just can't hide it no more, because it's gonna always show its ugly head, and that's why I get back to the question about the parenting, our different parenting styles. I think that because of I was just more conscious of who I am and like what I've been through, and I think that God also placed certain people in my life to kind of tell me about myself, right? Because like for a long time I was very emotionally unavailable, right? And I think that came from because I had a mother that was very emotionally unavailable. Not that my mother was a bad person, she wasn't loving, but she because of her upbringing, right, and the wounds that she hasn't dealt with from her parents, right, it got passed on to me. So like I said, like we grew up fighting our parents' demons, and
so I mean how do you break that? Of course, especially when you realize where you are, who you are,
right,
what you possess. So what do you do to break that? What do you
the shadow work?
Yeah,
that shadow work. Going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm looking for a therapist I can go to.
Right.
Going to therapy, doing the shadow work, spending time with yourself. A lot of people
Right.
don't. A lot of people always want to hop into relationships or be around people because they don't want to be alone. People
Right.
rather feel pain
Right.
than be alone. People rather be with somebody who's no good for them, who treats them dirty,
Right.
who just treats them like
Mhm.
dirt. But they rather feel that
Right.
than be alone. And it's like, if you don't like to be alone, and if you don't like to be around yourself,
Right.
then why do you expect somebody else to want to be around you?
Right.
Because misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that so like right now, like I'm on a journey where I'm trying to make sure that I get the healing that I need,
Right.
so I can be the best person that I can be. Because like I think people don't realize how much our unhealed wounds affect our daily lives.
Yeah.
Not just relationships, which career. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You trying to figure out why you're always procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the reasons why you could be procrastinating, because maybe you grew up with a parent that wasn't consistent with how they dealt with you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
they wasn't very consistent with their emotions. They were consistent. They're always told they was gonna come get you and pick you up,
Right.
take you here, and they never
Mm-hmm.
did. So now you're trying to figure out why you can't commit to finishing a project because all your life you've been dealt with disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And like I tell people all the time, man, like a lot of cats, man, who talk about their relationship with their parents, like I can't relate.
Right.
Like I would talk to one guy at a job. He was like, man, he just had a kid. He was like, yeah, man. He said, man, I just want to be able to give my child
Right.
everything that I didn't have. And then when he said that, I said, I can't relate to that
Mm-hmm.
because as a child, I had everything that I needed and wanted. So it's like now I have to make sure my child get everything that I did have,
Right.
and more.
And more.
It's a different bar.
It's a
You know what I'm
different bar,
saying?
yeah.
Because like I said, like, we did live in the hood, but I was too young to remember.
Yeah.
And
then when you realize where we lived, we were in the suburban.
yeah, right. So like, well, not the first house I remember was in Zale Garden, so that wasn't the hood, but it was still low income. It was
Right.
low income, and then from Zale Garden, then we moved to Virginia Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and I would tell people all the time, like my parents worked hard,
Mm-hmm.
so we could live poor around rich white people.
Oh Lord.
Because I mean, even though we was black rich,
Right. One of the most challenging things in leadership is to be able to lead yourself. So before I can lead you or lead me, and I wish I'd have known this concept when I was raising you guys.
Right.
I wish I'd have known that. I wish I'd have focused on leading me correctly. Then I will be able to, because go back to what the Bible talks about, love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
And until I love me, I really couldn't love you the way you needed to be loved.
So what would you would you consider that as your greatest challenge in fatherhood, or was there anything else that was like pretty much like your greatest challenge when it came to fatherhood?
I think my greatest challenge. I wish I would have been more sensitive. As a man, sometimes you think that being sensitive is not manly.
Right.
It's not masculine. And I think that I wish I'd have been more sensitive to you guys, because that's, you try to live life without any regrets.
Right.
You're never going to do that, but you try to minimize them as much as you can. So that would be one of the regrets, that I, being more sensitive, listening to my children, being more affectionate with you guys as a man, saying that a man can be affectionate with his son and different things like that. So that's one of the, probably one of the biggest. I mean, I got a few other, I know we don't have time to discuss.
Right.
But that would be one of the things, of me being more sensitive to your needs.
But why you feel that's so important?
I think that that's so important because I can't really raise you properly to give you the things that you need when it comes to nurturing and developing you as a man. I can, if I'm not sensitive to who you are, your makeup. You know, you're different from your brother. You're different from your sister. So if I would have been more sensitive, I could really understand that, yes, Terrell is a strong-willed child, so I should deal with him differently than I deal with Tim. Tim was more, Tim was, he was like the easygoing child.
Yeah, he was sensitive.
He was right. So that's one of the things I really would have done different. And you learn and you grow, you make mistakes in life. You can't wallow in the mistakes. You can't be depressed. What you do is you work on what we talked about in our last couple of podcasts, is working on that meaningful relationship.
Yeah.
As long as we have breath in our body, we can come to the table and say, hey, son, I'm sorry. Hey, dad, I'm sorry. Let's turn this thing around.
Right.
As long as we got breath in our bodies, we can make things happen.
Right. I think the biggest challenge that I have is loving my daughters the way they need to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I said that is because, of course, my daughter Brooklyn, me and Brooklyn have a very, very special relationship because she made me a father. Mm-hmm. Before I had Brooklyn, I was a very immature guy. I was very emotionally immature. I didn't really care about nobody outside myself. Mm-hmm. So when I had Brooklyn, she really changed my perspective on life to the point that I even stopped drinking.
Right.
Like, I mean, I dabble every now and then, but I would always keep a bottle in the house. I just stopped drinking because I just wanted to be better. And like, like I said, been playing nights where Brooklyn saw me crying because I'm like, I can't figure this thing out. You know what I'm saying? Right. Especially like the things I'm going through with her mother, and I just feeling like a failure, and like I'm trying to I'm like, dad trying to figure this thing out, and like she was just Brooklyn was very, I mean, of course, because she's a child, but the optimism of a child is very special. Yeah. Because like, even though, you know what I'm saying, me and her mom just got into a fight, and we in the truck just driving in the middle of nowhere because we're trying to get away from her. Right. She's happy. You know what I'm saying? Because she, like, only thing Brooke always wanted to do, because she's a dad's girl, as long as she's with her dad, she just know everything's gonna be okay. So like, me and Brooklyn developed this special relationship. So when I found out I had Honest on the way, it really bothered me because it's like I didn't know how to love two children. Because I'm giving all my love, everything I have to this one girl. Like I can say, like, this is probably like the first person ever that I love so unconditionally. And like, so it's like, man, like, how am I going to show love to Brooklyn and Honest at the same time and make sure it's all equal? Right.
No favoritism.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can I divide this love? But somebody told me you're only thinking that way because you're doing the math wrong. Right. You don't divide the love, you multiply it. So now you have to open up your heart more, your emotions more, your love more, so that love could pour onto your second daughter. And I was like, that made so much sense. And it's like, and like I said, and I have to understand that, Brooklyn and Honest are two different people. Like, and like certain things that Honest do, Brooklyn don't do, certain things Brooklyn do, Honest don't do. So like, I definitely feel you on that. Like, loving them as individuals, and understanding that their differences and stuff like that. Because
and like you were saying, loving them the way they needed to be loved. Right. It goes kind of like the same what I was saying, being sensitive to giving you what you need. Right. To understand that, hey, my son really needs this. He needs this. He needs me. Right. He needs me as a father. He needs me to be there. And so, and then also you could be so wrapped up in you that you miss that. And that's one of the things I would tell parents today is, because when I was raising you guys, especially when you guys got into your going into your teens and things like that, I started pastoring a church. Right. So that consumed my time. Right. Which was a regret that I have to this day. but it's water under the bridge, and I can't wallow in it. I just got to continue to move forward so that I can be healthy. Because if I don't move forward, I'm not going to be healthy.
Right.
And so let me deal with that. I dealt with it and move forward so we can continue to benefit as a family. Again, guys, I want y'all to share. This was very good, son. This was very good, very good conversation. And I don't know, son. I think you're gonna get the job as a co-host. Right. Of the podcast. Right. I'm telling you, you'll be able to. When I can't do it, you do it. You lead the podcast. But we want to just let everybody know that we're about to close out. But we want you to share. We want you to definitely subscribe to the podcast. I know that you would enjoy the conversation my son and I had. I pray that it helped you and added value to your relationship with your children and with your family. And that was our intent, to kind of for us to be transparent, so it can help you. And I pray that it did. And we're out of time. We look forward to seeing you guys on next week. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for you to live your amazing life. God bless you.